banner. There we are. We are live. It is July 13th, 2024, 8 o'clock in the morning. I am Rabbi Brian. I am joined here by a group of people. There they are. Hello, people, and there's still more joining. Thank you for waving, and let me go back to the less chaotic view. Okay. Well, I am thrilled to be here. This is a different way of looking at a religious service. It's saying, what if the wisdom isn't on a stage? What if we did something in a religious group that's not a sage on a stage? What if we had some isn't that a nice idea? Sage on a stage. It's that there's one person in the front looking at everybody and everybody looking at that one person. And this is the idea that let's use Zoom for its perfect. Let's use Zoom as it is and have all different people who we can on the screen at once, and that we can all participate and share what we know. I have so many follow-ups from last week that I have an outline. Oh, hi, Lori. Lori, say hi, would you?
Hi, Lori.
You have no audio.
Uh-oh. Well, for those of you who don't know, Religion Outside the Box is thrilled to have its first official intern. Jane, I was talking to Jane last night, and Lori, Jane was adorable. She thought because you were an intern that you would be like 23, 24 years old. And I said, yes, Lori had been 23, 24 years old, but that might have been a decade or plus ago. 2 decades ago. Lori, do you need help working on your audio? We'll get you there. Hold on. If you're watching on Facebook, at least in the dull silence, there's no echo. So that counts for some. I lost Lori on my screen. How are we?
I don't see her either.
She might have logged out. We'll try it again in a moment. We spoke about so many things last week. Oh my goodness, and there were so much goodness in it. Is there anything that we spoke about last week that you'd like to share? Oh, I was really thinking about blank, blank, blank. Or I had a follow-up thought about blank, blank, blank. Is there something that came from last week? I think many of you were here last week. I see a lot of faces that I remember. Is there anything that you wanted to follow up on from last week? Last week we did the bingo cards. We talked about taking time off. We talked about pain and suffering. We did a small little talk about membership cards. I told the story about Annie and misattributing my projecting onto her a tone that was not there. Go ahead, Michael. What do you got? Follow us up on.
My dear wife and I, we both made bingo pages for annoyances, and it was really a fun bonding exercise for us.
You made bingo cards over what then?
Things that annoy us.
You did an annoyance bingo card. Okay, and so if people are just joining in, you wrote in a box something that annoys you.
Yeah, and it wasn't hard once we got started.
Did each other find out? Did you wind up on her bingo card?
Well, she says it wasn't me, but it was me. Like, I do leave the cupboard doors open.
Right. Cupboard doors being open. And then tell us, so the idea of the bingo was if you put all your annoyances on 25 grids, what happened, Michael?
Well, of course they become less serious, and you realize that it objectifies them and it makes you notice them a little bit more, right? And it's kind of fun. It's kind of like fetching, It's just sort of like let's complain about
Yeah.
things that really don't matter, and you realize that not most of them don't matter.
Yeah.
I think
You know,
Lori joined.
Go
it's
ahead,
fun.
Bob.
I said I think Lori joined.
Oh, thank you, Bob. Oh, that's an Laurie, Lori. Hello,
Okay.
that Lori. I was looking for an Lori, Lori. No offense intended.
That's right.
Um,
There,
go
there
ahead,
is
Maria.
a bad echo on Facebook when someone else is speaking. Not you, but someone else.
So when Maria, you just got echoed. I can't find the setting for that, and I'm gonna make a note. So as you all know, the book gets launched in a few days. After the book gets launched, I will be able to look at the Facebook echo, and I can't. I just don't have the bandwidth until after next week to do that. So sorry, Facebook friends. I'm glad that you're listening, and thank you for. Oh, you don't have to be annoyed by it. You could just put it on a bingo card.
Right.
This is what I want to talk about today. Did we get the other Lori on yet? No.
I haven't seen her.
No. Okay. It's asking for a passcode. She just texted me. I think Lori's in the wrong place.
Do you want one of us to email and text?
Oh, yeah. Please, would the people who are on that text thread, please? Thank you so
I
much,
got
Meg.
it. I got it.
Thank you, Meg.
I may.
Okay, wait. Ding, dang it. What was? Oh, here's what I was thinking. This is a quote from I don't know exactly how to say his name. Epictetus. I don't think he. Does anyone have Epictetus? He was a Greek. He was a slave. He had a birth defect and a deformity. Walked very difficultly. Somebody jazzed up this picture of him. He said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgment about things."
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's really big. It's not the thing that upsets us. How could it be the thing that upsets us if, depending on my mood, it upsets me or not? How can it be the thing that upsets us if echo on Facebook is the thing, but whether it annoys you or not seems to be in your control?
Right.
This is huge.
Absolutely.
It's not the things that upset us, but our vision of the things. Let me give you a little bit longer. This is a longer section of Epictetus. He said, "Remember that it is not he who reviles you or strikes you who insults you, but it is your opinion about these things as being insulting. When a man irritates you, you must know that it is your opinion which has irritated you. Therefore, especially try not to be carried away by appearance. For if you once again time and delay, you will more easily master yourself." It's not the person that's irritating, it's your opinion of that person irritating you.
Right.
What's that guy's name that said that?
Epictetus.
Epictetus. I will put it there. Epictetus.
Wow, 20-minute timer on Echo Show 8 ringing.
Epictetus.
Did the television blasting from somebody else's screen camera did the television that we just heard, did that annoy you?
It's funny.
But do you understand that it might have annoyed you or might not have annoyed you, and it had nothing to do with being the thing?
Yes.
Totally.
Isn't that a repeat of your spaghetti in the lab?
Yes. Hold on to that for a second, John. I want to do this quote, and then I want to get to the spaghetti.
No, I've got that. I want to put
Hold on. We had a rogue microphone. Again, a rogue microphone being a perfect thing of, it's just a loud microphone. Somebody's in a coffee shop and forgot to push mute. Is it annoying or not? Seems to be, is up to us. So here again, and women seem to be excused from all of this philosophy. So I'm surprised by that, but it's just how this is that men are disturbed, not by things, but by the principles and notions which they form concerning things. Annie said, "Dad, go to bed." I had an opinion about it. That was the problem. And now he's going to go into death. Death, for instance, is not terrible, else it would have appeared so to Socrates. But Socrates, as we know, welcomed death. But when terror consists of our notion of death, that is terrible. When, therefore, we are hindered, disturbed, or grieved, let us not attribute it to others, but to ourselves, to our own principles. What? When we are disturbed, hindered, or grieved, let us not attribute it to others, but to ourselves. That is, to our own principles. Help me out with that. I'm not to blame anything else. Go ahead, Jack.
Cause and effect, and we're prone to fall into that as being human.
We are human. We're all very human. Let me bring it to what John said, the spaghetti quote, and then are we still, Meg, are we still fighting on bringing Lori on board?
I just called her and...
Oh, there's Lori.
Coming in.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
We got you, Lori. Welcome, welcome.
Good. Okay, sorry about that. It's just that I'm at my sister's and I'm trying not to screw up her computer.
That's really okay. We were just talking about how whether or not we are annoyed has to do with us more than the thing.
Oh, that's one thing I was going to say. You wanted to know 3 things that I learned, and I was going to say that one of them was that there's all sorts of things we can't control in the world, but we can control how we respond to them. So that's kind of along those lines.
That's exactly right. Hold on, Lori. I'm trying to... There you are. There's Lori on the screen, everybody. Wave, say hi to Lori.
Hi, Lori.
So Lori is our Religion Outside the Box pastor intern, and she is shadowing me and learning from me and stuff. And so I thought I'd ask Lori at the start of a Saturday service to tell us 3 things that she learned. And it could be any 3 things. And Lori, you just gave us one. And do you have 2 more that you got?
I do. I was going to say that I've learned how wonderful all the people at Religion Outside the Box are. And I've also learned how important community is, because I see the sense of community in your ministry, and it's wonderful.
Well, thank you, and thank all of you for making this doesn't work like without you all. And I thought on the flip side of this, as review to help us all hold on to the things that we're trying to learn, and as a way of catching Lori up to speed, I'd ask you to think about something that you learned that you're willing to share. What's something that you learned here in Religion Outside the Box land? And it can either be a direct thing that we learned, like saying have to and saying get to instead of have to. Or it can be, I learned from watching the way that Alex does the tech, I learned how compassion for technophobes is, or whatever it is that you learned. Is that way too open of a question to start with?
No.
No. Okay, Greg, would you give me the favor of telling us a thing that you've learned?
Well, by working out, filling out this bingo card, I was able to find all the negative things in my life, but I was able to find the positive things that counteracted them. To know that I'm on the right track and that I'm trying to make some progress. I couldn't just write down annoyances without solutions.
So you put solutions on your bingo card as well?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you got a bingo? Did you get a bingo?
Yes.
And
I was one box short, so that's my free space.
That seems part of a religion outside the box creed would be everyone gets to kind of change the rules and make them themselves. So extra points to you, Greg.
Thank you.
Anyone else want extra points like Greg just got? Come on, jealousy, do your thing.
Practice forgiving myself.
I love that, Emily. One of the things that you've learned is, go ahead, say more.
Practice forgiving myself. Whatever small, anything big or small, there were things I remember. I say, I forgive me.
That's wonderful. Alex?
Well, I was going to say that yesterday at our house was kind of like a culmination of putting a lot of your lessons, into play, right? If I had filled out an annoyance bingo card, we probably would have hit a whole bunch of them. If it was being kind to yourself or being kind to your spouse, that was on the list. Dealing with annoyances. I mean, it was just like this whole, everything went wrong yesterday, including Scott partially falling through the drywall from our attic into the house.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, he broke his phone. He had punched a hole in the drywall. We tried to get the phone replaced and ended up going to 4 places before we could finally get somebody to help us. I mean, it was just everything that could have gone wrong yesterday did. Now, the plus side is Scott didn't get hurt, and it's only a hole in the drywall in the closet ceiling, so no one's going to see it. So, I mean, but it was one of those things that Scott was afraid to tell me because he was afraid I would be really angry. And so yesterday was really an exercise in patience and in kindness and trying not to blow up at each other, because a lot of times, anybody who's married knows that when things start going wrong, it's really easy for couples to, instead of being mad at whoever it is out in the world, it's really easy to start sniping at each other. And we did a really good job of keeping a really bad day from just turning into just really
good job, Alex.
So all of the many of the lessons that you teach, Rabbi, were definitely put into play yesterday.
Well, we do talk about patience a lot. Oh, I have a really easy 3-step solution to have I shared my easy 3 steps to patience? Oh, it goes like this.
Gotcha.
There's no easy 3 steps to patience, folks. It's just practice. Let me add in a phrase and see if we can connect this in. Practice with the small annoyances. It's a quote from Shantideva. It's actually a quote from somebody. I learned this in Pema Chodron explaining Shantideva. The quote was, "Practice with the small annoyances." What do you take that to mean? I'd love to hear from a voice we haven't heard from. Practice with the small annoyances.
I'm not sure I know how to define small, because when the annoyance happens, it's the center of your attention, it's your focus.
That's a
And at
great
that
point,
point,
Harold.
you don't know if it's big or small until something else happens.
Let me give you you got a mosquito bite and a meteor goes through your car.
If you're driving, and
Right.
no,
That's a different
it doesn't
thing.
matter.
Yeah. Well, maybe Harold, maybe you're onto something. Maybe it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as you're practicing on it. You're practicing. What are we practicing? When he says practice with small annoyances, what is the practice? What is he talking about? What are you supposed to do with the small annoyances? What's the best thing you could do? Say again?
I think he's talking about that distance between what's happening and what you're going to do about it. And the bigger the distance, the better it gets, the smaller the problem.
I love that. I love that. That often we get annoyed and we throw kerosene on the annoyance and we talk about how annoyed we are and we get ourselves even more upset. Exactly. And what he's saying is, maybe we don't have to do that. Go ahead, Betsy. Go ahead, Betsy, and then Lori. And Lori, I love that.
Let's say you're driving along and out of the corner of your eye you happen to notice that a house is really in bad need of painting, and it really needs a touch-up, and so your thoughts kind of start going in the home improvement direction on that house.
You can start with that. Is how annoyed do you have to get? I guess this is really do you truly believe that we have some agency over how annoyed we get?
Yes.
Now, yes. And of course, I am not saying, I used to say when I was 18, I really thought you should just put a happy smile on everything. And everything's going to be just fine, and it's all for the best. It was very obnoxious. I didn't have much of a shadow. Lori, you were going to add something in early.
I was going to say that I was thinking this week, I've been at my sister's and it's very quiet and peaceful. And then my family showed up for dinner the other night, and there's a lot of discord between other people. And I realized how uncomfortable I am with that. And I think that gets me going, because I want everything to be peaceful, and it's not always peaceful. So, and the other thing I wanted to ask if people had any ideas about was, I think that, like you, when you were 18, I hold down the small annoyances and I smile through them, but then eventually I end up blowing up. I have a big meltdown because I blow up because I've held everything in. So I guess I'm asking, how can I deal with the small annoyances in a positive way when they happen, so that I don't push them down and then they come out in a bad way?
Right. It's a great question. Hold on, and I thank you for asking it. Steve, you had your hand up. I don't know if it's directly on what Lori was saying, or but I trust you to figure how you go.
It's also there. I thought of a pair of analogies because in successfully dealing with putting aside the annoyances, you do better, I think, if you start small. I was thinking about Mao's comment that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And so if you take that single step successfully, you might take the next step
And then I was thinking of a baseball analogy. You have to be able to hit a 10-mile-an-hour pitch before a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
And so you build up toward a major thing. But I don't think it's pushing it down. I think it's successfully modifying it into something that you can see differently and react to differently. But if you start with something smaller, you have a better chance of success than taking on the universe.
I like that, Steve. I think I liked what you said is pushing it down or going through it. If we allow it to go through us and without having to push it down, if we push it down, we're stuck in it. If we can just be annoyed at the right level at the time it happens, it can go through us, and we might not be gaining, adding things to the bank. Go ahead, Carol.
This is the assumption that annoyance is a bad thing, but in fact,
go! I love it.
It's sometimes an extremely powerful motivator. If we assume that racism is an annoying thing about this country, and we don't have to think about it, that's not a good thing. We have to be awake to it and be in enough pain to do something about it. I think that annoyance and pain and other things are things we need to fully feel and find out the appropriate way to respond.
Well, that's great, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. You're getting applause, Carol. Go ahead, John.
There was a comment earlier, I forget who did it, but seeing a house or someplace somebody's living in and the condition of it is, it just looks like it's bad. But that's the whole thing is that's by your standard.
Correct.
People living there may be quite content. They're what's inside is much more important than what's outside. There are so many parameters. It's our own judgment. Like for us,
right.
I look at some houses and say, I could never live in that house. But people do live there. And they're happy and they're content living there.
And that's our question.
I can't assume they're always going to be like me and say, oh, shit, I wish I could fix this.
And I think this is where a piece of how do we not be so judgmental? Oh, wait a minute. How do we not be so judgmental? We notice the house. We hate the way the house is. Here, we're going to do it by a round of applause. If I add in love here, or I add in love here. Love, compassion, acceptance, forgiveness. Either place I put it, oh, wait, could I do this? I can lower the judgment.
Yeah.
Feel a lot like Mr. Rogers sometimes, and I really enjoy that feeling. Go ahead, Bob, and then Ray, and then Ann.
Well, I think there are different types of annoyances. As an example, when I will go through a doorway and close the door and it squeaks, that can be really annoying to me, and that I can fix the problem by taking and putting some oil on the hinges. Okay, and then it's no longer squeaking. But if another person is doing something that annoys me,
yes,
that's a whole different solution, because if I put oil on them, that it's not going to work.
No, just dump them in the barrel.
You'll get a very different reaction. I like what you're saying, and John, this goes back to what you had reminded us of. This Irving Becker quote is, if you dislike someone, everything they do will annoy you about them. And if you like them, they could drop a plate of spaghetti in your lap and you wouldn't mind. Oh, look, I have a plate of spaghetti in my lap. Well, I'm either going to hate it because of who it is who did it, or I'm going to be okay with it because who it was who did it. Go ahead, Ray, and then Ann, and then we'll move slightly.
For me, going back to something that Steven said reminded me, and I think it fits into all these things because it's a learning process, are the 5 steps to learning. anything that you're trying to do. Sometimes you can't do it worth a damn, but with help and a little guidance, you get to where it's much easier, and finally to the point where, oh, okay, I don't particularly, that guy cut me off. Must be in a real hurry.
Right. And it's not we're not going to be instant patient. It's just not going to happen. We have to practice, and we have to work our way into it. Thank you, Ray, for bringing that tool back in. Go ahead, Anne.
This is something that I learned this week from my Aramaic teacher about practicing, because we are learning scripture in the original Aramaic, and the connotation is so different from the English translations that have come down to us. And this is about...
I'm going to interrupt and just say, in case everyone else isn't completely impressed and feel really like an idiot because we're not in an Aramaic class, I'm with you on that. But well played, Anne.
We're not learning the language Aramaic as much as we are learning the connotations and concepts from the ancient Near East. But
go ahead.
People said, when I'm in the class, I really get it, and then I go back to my ordinary life and I forget. And our teacher said, we practice remembering until we forget forgetting.
Oh, ding dang it. Let's say that one more time, would you, Anne? We practice remembering until...
We practice remembering until we forget forgetting.
Oh, I'm going to have to chew on that one. That sounds like I like it, but it also kind of sounds a little like doublespeak. So I need a minute. Lori.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just remembered an amazing lesson I learned, and I would have rather not learned it, but I was so angry because I was caught in a traffic jam, and I was furious. I was late for an appointment. I was so upset. And then I got to work the next day. I was late for my appointment. I got to work the next day, and everyone was so upset because the woman that got in the accident, her daughter was got in an accident, the one that was holding me back, and her daughter was killed in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
And I will never, and I don't get mad in the car anymore, but it was a horrible way to learn not to be angry in the car. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Lori. Let's never all learn lessons like that.
No.
I want to. I want to do so many things, but I also don't want to not take these comments from John and from Carol. So John and then Carol.
Anne's comment reminds me very much of the concept of being bilingual. We got taught from a very early age French is so important in Canada. And theoretically, you go through all the years and you can officially, at one point, you could officially declare yourself bilingual because you had passed a certain level of French. No, you're bilingual when you can think in the language.
Okay.
That's forgetting about forgetting. When you don't have to translate in your own mind from, in our case, from French to English and translate it back again into French, your answer. And when you bypass that step.
Yeah, John, I think what this is what we're trying to figure out how to do here, is how to do this separation fluently. How do we separate? How do we do it without having to think about it? And the way we do it without having to think about it is, at first we have to think about it. We have to practice this a lot.
Yes.
We have to practice separating our judgment from our observation from our judgment. Go ahead, Carol.
Someone gives us a shortcut you should not do unto others what you don't want done unto you. And someone said, you don't understand that that's the language of the colonizers, because you have one view of what should and should not be done, and they may be completely different. And we just it never really occurs to us how different people are, how different their needs are, and we just sit there making judgments all the time and
Yes, we
thinking, how
do.
can you be wrong? It's the golden rule.
Right. It's what I think, so obviously it's true.
Obviously.
Right. Thank you, Carol.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Lenny.
Well, I just loved what you said, and everybody's thinking about it. And I thought, how is that? Because it just resonated with me. And I'm an improvisational actor with the groundlings, and there are rules, practice remembering, to add information to the scene, to not denying. And then after years and years, you forgetting, you don't remember, you don't think about those rules. Those rules are part of you. They're who you are.
Right. And what we're trying to do is I think this is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to learn to have patience be our lingua franca. We're trying to have patience be on board. We're trying to speak love fluently.
Yes.
And how are we going to do that? Is we're going to do it imperfectly first.
Yes.
Best way to learn a language. My son is brilliant at Spanish, much further than I am when I was his age, because he has no shame. He's absolutely no shame that he's saying the wrong thing. He doesn't care. He's having a good time. Okay. I had a thing I wanted to bring us to. Oh, ding dang it. I can't remember my train there. But here, I got an idea. But I can also use this as an opportunity to say, okay, am I going to beat myself up? Am I going to just, am I going to forget about beating myself up? I remember what it was after looking at my notes. I had a religion outside the box question for you, but before we do that, I had another thing that came to my notes. I'm just going to put this one out there. This goes under potpourri. Doesn't necessarily fit in that I know of with what we've been discussing, but I wanted to say it. Certainty means that we're certain, not that we're right.
You've heard that before.
The person who most annoys you in this group might be your next best teacher. They don't have to ever know it. But is there somebody who, when they speak, you go, oh my God, not that person. No, don't let them speak again. And they might be the next best teacher for you to practice. Oh, look at that. I'm being judgmental again. I find that to be a very, very useful frame. Saying to myself, oh, look at that. I want to make sure that I have time for everything, which there's never time for everything, but I do want to make sure that we have a gratitude round. We haven't had gratitude rounds for a while. Last week, I said we'll do annoyance bingo cards, and people said, well, how about we do gratitude bingo cards? And I'm in favor. But there is also the shadow side, so we do have to look at annoyances. We don't have to, but I highly advise it. But let's look at gratitude. And we're going to play gratitude today a little bit differently than we've played before. I'm going to ask if there were a gratitude bingo card, what would be something that you think is on everybody's bingo card? And here's how this game's going to work. That's not true. Here's how I imagine this game's going to work. I'm going to ask you to say one of the things that is on your bingo card, make a list of a few things that would be on your bingo card. And then when I ask somebody for something that they are grateful for, I want to see how many hands go up that was also on your bingo card. So make a list of 3 things right now. And if you want to expand it, you can make it to 25 so you can play bingo the rest of the week. 3 things on your bingo card. I'm going to put everyone up on the screen. Al Brown, I'm going to single you out. Would you start us out with a thing on your bingo card? And don't just do it to make Al Brown feel good because it was just his birthday. Be honest.
I have to admit I got a little lost with the instructions. I should have.
I have to. Yeah. What do you got on a bingo card? Let's just see how we make it work.
What's the bingo card? Like, what's the theme of the bingo card? This is all gratitude. Gratitude. Oh, love.
Okay, I honestly did not think to put that on my bingo card. Anyone else? Oh my God! Thank you for the unbelievable honesty. Okay, Al, you win. You stumped most people with what should be the easiest answer. Good job. Who had that? John, you had that on your bingo card. That means you get to play next. What's one thing? Okay, fuck the game. What's one thing you're grateful for?
The screen that I see in front of me with all the people on it.
Oh,
I look forward to Saturday.
All right, let's forget about the competition and just raise hands and praise, and that's good. Meg, what do you got?
My friends that are being so supportive.
Amen. Michael?
Well, pretty much what Meg said, reached out for help, but also listen to others.
Amen. Other Michael?
Coffee.
Coffee. Gratitude for coffee. What's some other things that you have gratitude for?
I have
Jack?
been loved and loved totally.
Having been loved and loved totally. I love that, Ray.
Can I say something?
Everyone's allowed to have gratitude except for Lynn. Go ahead.
Oh my God. I visited Paul Rubens' Pee Wee right before he passed, and that's what he said. That's what he said on his almost deathbed. I have loved deeply and have been loved in return. You're loved all over the world. And he liked that. He smiled at that. So it was just, I got shivers because I heard that, and it was like Paul talking to me, because I haven't heard that from somebody else since Paul passed. So thank you for that. It was like a message.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Lynn. And Derek, and then Bob, Maria, Steve.
I have gratitude for anger.
Oh, snapdoodles. Really clever and smart. And yes, amen. Let's have some gratitude for being angry at the right person at the right time and the right amount for the right reason. Bob?
Yes, I'm very grateful for the opportunity on the 4th of July to spend some time with our great-granddaughters.
Oh,
that's beautiful. Beautiful. Maria?
Support from friends that gives me the freedom to be me.
Ooh.
Oh, that's really nice, Maria. Steve?
I'm simple. Family.
Family. Amen. Bob, you're going back in for seconds? Your hand's still up. There it is. Okay. So I have a joke to share with you. But it's going to lead us towards a thing. So I was chatting with Lori, Religion Outside the Box's newest intern, only intern. And Lori is a pastor in a Unitarian community. And I said to Lori, Lori, do you know the joke that we tell behind Unitarians' backs, and it goes like this. That a Unitarian comes to a fork in the road and it says, this way to heaven, this way to a discussion on heaven. And then I told Lori that I had spent time, I told that joke, and I thought, well, that's not fair. I should be able to figure out. A Jew comes to a sign. It says, this way to heaven, this way to a discussion on heaven. And the Jew takes a look at the one, takes a look at the other. Who put up these signs? And then I taught at a Catholic school, and I revised the joke for my Catholic friends. And if you grew up Catholic, you know this one. Sign says, this way to heaven. This sign says, we already told you.
Oh, I love that.
So that all being said, I thought it would be an interesting game to play. One of the members of Religion Outside the Box comes to a fork in the road. It says, this way to heaven. I don't know how
the
to
answer to that.
Well, how's it go, Michael?
Buy my book.
I like that answer. I like that answer, and it kind of embarrasses me to my core. Yeah, the book is coming out. In case you didn't know, the book is coming out very soon. Religion Outside the Box member comes to the fork in the road. It says, this way to heaven.
I got something.
Go ahead, Derek.
Religion Outside the Box member comes to the fork in the road, says this way to heaven, and he doesn't go anywhere because he's already there.
What? I didn't hear the answer. The second part.
He doesn't go anywhere because he's already in heaven.
Oh, I love that.
All right, let's take alternate endings to that joke. Religion Outside the Box member comes to the fork in the road. Says, this way to heaven. Go ahead, Diana.
Do we have to call it heaven?
Right. Is there with spray paint changing the sign. Michael Burrows, go ahead. And then I got you, Patricia.
Who's heaven? Which heaven are we talking about?
Right. The Religion Outside the Box person just looks straight back at the camera and says, whose heaven are we talking about here? I love that. Good. And Patricia.
Come to the sign, whip out my ROTV card, look on the back and try to find the answer. My membership card. I got a free pass. So.
You got a membership card. Good. Any other entries? Religion Outside the Box member comes to the fork in the road, says, this way to heaven.
There are 5 steps to learning how to do that.
Or Religion Outside the Box member comes to the fork of the road, says, this way to heaven, and then is sitting there with a piece of paper wondering about the mermaids and the robbers.
Yeah, there you go. And
Go ahead, Lynn. Oh, hold on. I got 2 people talking at once. Go ahead, Lynn, and then we'll take Ray.
What was the answer to the Unitarian fork in the road and the 2 signs? The first one.
Go to discussion.
You don't even. There's no question. They're all at the discussion on heaven.
You told that joke at my Unitarian fellowship. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
They loved it.
I like to tell people the jokes we tell behind their back. Ray, you were adding in another one.
Well, we're going, you come to the fork in the road, and it's this way to heaven. And we would probably all think, well, what's the other option? Where's the other fork? And then in that way, is that an opinion or a judgment?
We come to the fork in the road. Well played. There's no fork. We got no road. We're doing our own thing. Okay. Thank you for.
Or this way to heaven is on both forks.
Oh, I like that. Religion outside the box comes to this way to heaven. The other way says this way to heaven. You are here.
You are here.
How about you turn around and go back so you don't miss the Saturday morning Zoom?
Or according to whom?
Yes. No, that's the Jew in me coming straight out. I wanted to share a quote. So in this, I want to make sure that that knowledge is being transferred. This is the one that happens first. What is this one? We don't always notice that it happens, but there's always something that we're taking in. There's this physical, we notice something. Then comes this one. This one is
Judgment.
And without naming it, what are the words that this one can have? This is an idea. It's not just one thing. What is it?
Love, practice,
love, practice, forgiveness. I wanted to add in acceptance.
Oh, good.
And I'm going to share with you a quote. Here it comes. This is from John Rogers and Paul Kaye. They said, acceptance is not approval, consent, permission, authorization, sanction, concurrence, agreement, compliance, sympathy, endorsement, confirmation, support, ratification, assistance, advocating, backing, maintaining, authenticating, reinforcing, cultivating, encouraging, furthering, promoting, aiding, abetting, or even liking what it is. Acceptance is saying it is what it is, and what is what is. Until we fully accept everything, we can never see clearly and seldom give appropriately. We will always be looking through filters of must, shoulds, ought to, have-tos, and prejudices. Acceptance is saying what is, and what is what is. Help me with these two little puppets to make sense out of this quote. It's a great quote. Acceptance is not liking the thing. Acceptance is just saying it is. Help me out with these guys. What changes? Yeah, if we add in more acceptance,
Judgment goes down.
Judgment goes down. The more acceptance we have, it kind of looks like judgment is reaching out for help there, doesn't it? Help me. The more acceptance we have, the lower the judgment. I think that gives us a homework assignment. Yeah? Try to have a little more acceptance in our lives. Maria, do you have a list of names of prayers of people we want to add some love for?
I do. These are the people to whom we are sending light and love. Ken and Joe, Sheridan H., Rita S., Greg, Ray, Lori and Richard in spirit, Judy Love and her family, Shirley W., Lynn D. in spirit and her family, Sarah A., Frank DeToma, Marilyn Wolf, Mary Ellen, James and all who are in jail or prison, Jerry W., Janae and Jessica, Ann L., Donna and Lenny, Tane H. and Kelly, the family of Matthias Archangelo, Marilyn G., Scott, Liz K. and family, Sue and Marvin, Dory and family, Glenn and Christopher, Jess and Violet Fisk, Ron and Fran and Fran's sister Linda, Edith in spirit and her family, Tom in spirit and his family, Ron and Julie, Ann G, Lisa and Michael, Joan D, Frank and Eileen, Helen and Adam in spirit, and Ruth W. If there is another person in our community to whom we can offer light and love, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list on Facebook. And for the people who aren't named but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Let's take a minute of time, put everyone on the screen. Oh, I'm not being able to put everyone on the screen. Hold on. There we are. Let's take a minute of time all together.
Yeah, that's yes, I think.
Thank you all for joining for the minute. I might be doing the rest of this service without being seen. Oh, there I am. Okay. I have a story I'm going to leave you with. We're not going to talk much about it, but it's a quick story. I saw on social media there was a pastor, and unfortunately I didn't catch the pastor's name, but the pastor told a story and said, if you squeeze oranges, what do you get? And everyone said orange juice.
Orange juice.
And if you squeeze lemons, what do you get? Lemon juice. Apples, apple juice. And then the preacher said, if you squeeze a person and you put them under stress, out comes anger. And the pastor said, it wouldn't have come out unless it was within. You're not going to get orange juice unless there's orange juice in the orange. And the pastor said, you're not going to get angry unless the anger was within you. And I'll leave it for us to think about of how much of our anger is because we were carrying it around, waiting to expel it somewhere else. I'll leave us as a little story for today. Let's wave goodbye to all of our friends who are on Facebook. Just trust me that they're all waving. I don't know how to get to that screen right now, so we're going to just hang up the recording. Thank you all for waving.